Alrighty, here we go. Rene-Engel, how you doing, sir?
Hi, Coach. I'm doing great. Thank you for the invite.
Absolutely. So quick introduction. Rene-Engel. All right. So ex Dusseldorf Panther player, ex national German national team player, businessman. Now part owner of the new Rhein Fire. New as in the Elf Rhein Fire. That's a big resume. That's congratulations for completing your maybe sport on the field wasn't what you expected your first year, but I think you had a great first year in the Elf. So welcome and let's get this thing going, eh?
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I'm totally happy to discuss and talk about football, which is my true passion beside my family. And I'm very happy that we got this opportunity starting back 2020 of inheriting this rich heritage Rhine Fire, which the NFLE set up, which you have been a part of the NFLE. You guys all did awesome work back in the days, setting the stage, and which we now can inherit. And I hope the fans will appreciate what we do, that we do it in the right way.
Yeah. So now, like you said, watching the Elf from Australia is a long way away. So everything is online. What I've seen so far, but with fans in the stands and your cheerleaders and how active you are online, all these kind of things. I think the league is better off with Rhine Fire in it, right?
I mean, we are all in it together because nobody can do it alone. We need a broad base for football to grow in Europe. This is what I'm starting for. I'm doing it out of Düsseldorf because this is my hometown, the city I love. Football is the sport I love. But nobody can do it alone. We need a broad base of football franchises and good cooperations with other facilities out of the football organization to grow the sport. This is very mandatory. We have a very seldom chance related to the past to make football one of the biggest sports in Europe because it's an outdoor sport. It's very sophisticated to broadcast on television. So this is the very big chance, and the way it's unfolding on game days, it incorporates the whole family, not just the husbands, not just the ladies, not just the kids. It's something for everybody. And once you caught the football flu, you won't get rid of it. It's
Mm.
yeah.
Now, and luckily for you, Dusseldorf is known for having a lot of crazy football fans in the city, right?
Yeah, this is true. This year, in the first year, we were happy to have Patricia Clem as our general manager. This year, we could win over Tom Aust, who was with the Rhein Fire back in the days. And in regards of what you just said, yes, we are very happy to have a very football crazy town, starting up with the mayor and everybody else out of the city departments, and broad fan base. But even by Tom's knowledge from back in the days, we were also very lucky that round about half of the fans are from the rural area, let's say Rhein-Ruhr area, which relates to where we are able this year because of vacancies in the big arenas in Düsseldorf, that we are hosting our home games in Duisburg, which we're very happy also for their mayor to be a very big football and Rheinfire fan. So we're very happy to have fans all over the place.
Yeah, nice. Now, that stadium, is that the same stadium where we used to play in the old NFL Europe?
Where we are playing at the moment.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Because back in the days, the Rhein Fire played in the old Rheinstadion, which then got rebuilt, and we played 2 years in Schalke, and then
Schalke.
moved back to the now called Merkur Spielarena. But the Merkur Spielarena, luckily, is very heavily booked after Corona seasons with concerts in our on season. So we have even after having very good discussions and talks with the city, not any opportunity so far. But for sure, the mayor and the governing body of the city sees where the sport is heading, where Rhine organization is heading. We're in steady conversations about how to proceed, how to develop our program. At the moment, after this was not on the table for the first season, we were evaluating where to go. And we were very happy that Patricia was in touch with the Schauinsland Arena in Duisburg. and that we were welcomed there with very open arms, and we had a very successful first season there.
Yeah, nice. Um, so the Ruhrgebiet, right? The way I know it. How many people live there? Do you know?
In Duisburger City.
No, just the whole Rhine. So
Oh,
Ruhr. Huh? That's
yeah.
how I know it. Is
I
how
mean,
many?
I talked it through once because when we were wondering where the NFL games will come to Germany, we felt like there's also a big chance for Düsseldorf. For sure, we do not have the biggest stadium related to Frankfurt or especially Munich, where the first game unfolded.
Yeah.
But we have the far biggest region, as far as I guess. We have one. If you take 1 hour around Düsseldorf by car, you are already in the Netherlands. So if you head north, you're in the in the Ruhrgebiet. So I guess please don't get do not quote me wrong, but I guess it should be around about 10 million at
Yeah.
least in this whole area if you take all the cities. So we are. This is really an awesome broad base for football to grow. I mean, we have
Mm.
a lot of football clubs in the R for the Federation of Football level in this area. So yeah, that's why our roster is kind of stacked this year already. Also,
Yeah. I remember from back in the day these numbers of how many kids are actually playing in the smallest area is just astronomical numbers, eh? So that's really good. Now, I've started this with all the guests on the podcast. Is the my real first question is where and when did we first meet, Renee?
yes. Yeah, first meet. I mean, I guess I was football playing since 1994. Maybe I met you and you don't know when you coached the NFLE at a certain point. Once in a while found my NFLE tryout invite when I was 19. But I was not back in the days that strong on working out, so I judged I go to study because I knew who I'm running against. Maybe my football IQ would help, but I wasn't at the point. So maybe I know you from back in that days, but we finally met with what I say is the initial point for our nowadays was when you coached the Dusseldorf Panthers 4 years ago. At one point, this was a period in my life where I finally, after doing football since 1994, I stepped away from football for quite some time to finalize my degree as a certified tax consultant to start the family business law firm, tax and law firm. So I was stepped away from the game a little bit after playing, coaching juniors, seniors. I had a chance once taking part in the national team seniors, which I was very happy about to represent my country. But then I stepped away. But at a certain point, people I knew from the city brought me back to the program because they felt like a little bit more help and input is needed. And like I said before, I love football. I love my city. When I can do something and somebody's reaching out for me, I always will be there at the first hand. And that's where we met. You were head coach of the program. Try to get it around your first year in this program, and yeah, sadly, also the single year in the program because Düsseldorf football at that time was kind of difficult and still is. But we're very happy that the organization with the Düsseldorf Panthers it also develops quite steady at the moment. Yeah, this was our initial starting point.
Yeah, I believe so too. That we actually met face to face. Yes,
Yeah.
and I do believe that, and I think we talked about this, almost 4 years ago. Is that you were playing in 2000 for the Panthers, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So then we were on opposite sidelines when I was with the Crocodiles in 2000 as
Yeah,
well.
that then this would be the initial point. Yeah,
That's
but
cool.
I was too young to grasp everybody. Yeah, right.
Now, obviously, that's not meeting each other, but that's where we're quite close. How wide is a football field? Do you remember?
How wide? 60 yards or something?
53 and a third, right?
Yeah.
So that was the closest, not being on the field together. Anyway, so as you stated, long time and still current Dusseldorf Panther member. So now you have to take a decision. You look at this, there's an opportunity here, man. Rhein Fire, own the team, right? part owner. Do I do this? Do I, was it a difficult decision to say, look, I'm kind of stepping away, and the GFL on one side, and then the competition, and
Yeah.
how did that go?
Oh, so how did that unfold? It unfolded that way since I mean, since you know me also for quite some time, so did other football players and coaches in Germany. And when the league started, the ELF, they had, in regards to Europe, had in Germany especially, they had compliance questions in regards of social security law, tax code, and everything. My former head coach, Martin Hanselmann from the Panthers and the national teams, he was coaching Stuttgart. Max Parz, the former special team coach for the Panthers, was general manager in Hamburg. And Patrick, I knew Patrick like I most likely know you, but I was quite some time younger. He was national team player, I was not, so I knew him. And then they were talking back and forth about those problems. They said, hey, let's talk to Rene. He's a football dude, right from the bottom, and he's a certified tax consultant, second generation, and his dad gone through these problems of separating probably federational football from professional sports in regards of ice hockey, because my father was involved with the DEL Foundation back in the days when they split from the DEB, which is the federational ice hockey organization. So, and then this unfolded, and then I felt like this is a good opportunity for football itself. So I felt like football needed a push, and there was a chance for a push. So I kind of liked it in the first place. Being a board member of the Panthers at that point, I informed them that I heard about this project and that I want to proceed listening to it. And they said, yeah, go ahead. Then at a certain point, it unfolded that they have the naming rights for the franchises. I said, good, Galaxy is there, Sea Devils is there, Thunder is going to be there. Where's Rhein Fire? Where's my hometown team? I said, not there yet. So I listened around what is going to unfold the next time. Then I heard out of my network that the final is going to take place in Düsseldorf, in the Merkur Spiel Arena. I said, why the hell are you starting there? I felt like, okay, broad fan base, like we just discussed, 10 million people around, a lot of football nerds, football fans, football enthusiasts. I felt like, okay, but wouldn't that also be a great stage to announce for the second season that Fire is going to be there? I guess yes. So then I stated back to the Dusseldorf Panthers, hey guys, before anybody is doing this stuff in our town, and probably going totally different directions than the Panthers, I follow up on that. Then I reached out for people, and we sent an application to the league, a nice application, because I already organized in the back proper coaches, medical staff, players. So we had a very good presentation. I didn't set it up, but I tried to pull all the strings, and it worked out. We met first at the game Cologne Centurions playing Barcelona in season 1. We had a coach meeting up with Patrick and Mr. Karajczak, where I'm very happy for the situation that they put the button and give us the stage for the sport. We had a follow-up meeting, and then we fist bumped to do it. And at that point, there was also already the conflict in between the Federation of Football, the R4D, and the ELF. That's why we need to resign from my spot as sport member, because this might cause penalties for the football programs, and this would be harm for our club level football. So I stepped down, sadly, and just became an ordinary member of the club and still try to help wherever possible. So it was a so-so decision, but at the end of the days, even in regard of my Panthers, this is a vehicle to develop sports. At the end, I do it for the players and for the coaches and for finally what we have, fans. With the Panthers, fans usually translate, which is very good, to mother, father, siblings, daughters, schoolmates. So now we have fans. So I do it for the players, the coaches, and the fans. And I've talked to them directly. Most of them appreciate what is going on. And now we need to clear the house and get together with the Federation of Football. At the end of the days, we try to professionalize the game, which means we do the professional stuff under business law. So, and let the club level football under their rules develop the broad base of football. And this is something we need to pay into with time, with effort, with knowledge. And if we finally make it also with hard money, if possible, because we need and want the game to grow.
Yeah. Look, You mentioned the Mercure Arena, and I remember we were texting back and forth during the championship game,
Yeah.
and you were telling me about working on this coach when we got the team, and it was,
Yeah.
and yeah, that was pretty good. Look, you are very very active on Facebook, engaging with fans and you know pundits, or people who talk about football a lot. I really enjoy, or respect what you're trying to do there, like really just informing people. Now, I'm not friends with everybody in football, or in Germany, or the Elf League, so I don't know what other owners do, but I really appreciate that.
Thank
Where
you.
is this? We're trying to do the right thing. I can, when you answer questions, I can, that oozes off my screen, where it's like, I want to do here the right thing always, and so which is great. So, but on the Elf GFL, we know there wasn't a great start. Is it improving? What is the future of these two working together?
First of all, I need to state that I only can speak on behalf of our franchise because, like you said, I'm just co-founder of our company, which is hosting the football team Rhein Fire, which we gladly got granted by the league. The league is an organization by themselves, so I cannot speak on behalf of the ELF. For sure, we are in steady contact with the league and with the German franchises, especially in regards of football development in Europe and in Germany as a focus. But I feel like we're doing our part in North Rhine-Westphalia. At the moment, like I said in another podcast, Peter Springwald, the head of the Federation of Football in North Rhine-Westphalia, please excuse me, I didn't come back to you. It was quite a stressful time at the moment, but we're doing our part in North Rhine-Westphalia. We want to do our part with the organization as the head of, and with the football clubs themselves. I'm very happy that at the end of the days, there's also a change in the head count of the American Football Federation Germany. We will have a new president and new board there, which are doing a quite decent job at the moment, which, as far as I can see, also just on social media. They had their first meeting with Patrick and Chelko Karajczak. So I feel like we're starting to finally set up mutual relationships in regard of the Bundesspielordnung, which taking care of the football operations in the Federation of Football. They took a passage out which prohibits working together with youth programs. So senior-wise, this is still not possible as far as I know, but maybe I'm not all up to date, but you can cooperate even under steady conditions with Federation of Football youth programs to benefit both of us. You need to apply, but it should be granted by, as far as I know, this rule. So it is a development, and I totally get that the first year was a little bit problematic because the ELF needed to stamp a business out of the ground. We had a post-corona situation, and we had to set up five programs out of thin air. So there was a lot of players moving around. So I can get that this causes stress. I hope we keep working that out. But at the end of the day, we're doing for the players. So if players always used to go to the best programs, I lost players to the Braunschweig Lions decades, to the Cologne Crocodiles decades. So I finally don't take the blame for being the backup program. So for sure, we need to give back to the Federation of Football in certain ways to keep the whole thing growing, because for growing, we not do our part at the moment. But I guess everybody should please excuse that. At the end of the day, we need to step together. I hope this
Yeah.
answers your questions.
Oh, look, it's good to hear that there's some movement, right? Because that's ultimately what is needed. Meetings, communication, and moving forward for it. Because, like, look, in a way, both have to deal with each other to make it bigger and better. If you
Yeah.
don't, then both can be doomed in a way. You know what I mean? So, That's good to hear. But look, the Austrian league has done it completely different, right? Now they also didn't join year one, so that's a big thing, I would say. That they can see what has happened. Now there's two Austrian teams, both have a team in the national competition and in the Elf League. That could be a way forward. I see that as something that is very positive. Now, there's lots of options, I would say, but it's at least it's good to hear that there's some news or some
Yeah.
information going back and forth.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, discussed this topic through also with like the Panthers president and with other boards and people out of football. I think what having Austria is just the right thing. For me, it's not mandatory that it is the same club who's doing it. You can have like in ice hockey corporation contracts. The only thing that you really need to work through is how is the cooperation? Because I can get the point that the first division in federational football team, like in GFL, playing for its, I mean, for me, the GFL should be the best league in Europe, and the ELF is the best league of Europe. I mean, but having the GFL being the best national league in Europe, you playing for the German championship, which is a title of itself. But at the end of it, if you have then corporations, it still might for some people feel like being a farm team. So, and this is something I don't want to say it is that way, but this is something we still need to work through. How are the situations between one another? At the end of the day, if you just beside this think about sports, I would appreciate having a corporation club. They are playing first level in their national league, and then they have a second team in the next league possible, which is in Federation of Football Germany, the third league then. And then you have rookie programs, maybe also two rookie programs in the U19, which is 16 till 19. Because then you really can get the players from one level to another fluently. And we have a rule in Germany, which is called so-called Kadettenregel, which means you can have passports for two teams, the better team and the lower level team. And when you play 3 times for the higher level team, you cannot go back. But unless you can go back and forth, just 1 game each week. So you can have guys working in 2 programs, maybe work in the better program with the better players on a higher level in practice, but they do not have a shot on playing. So they move back and play where they get playing time. So this is a concept I like, but it's just me. I do not expect that I have all the answers, but this is just one idea I have. I would love to critically discuss this back and forth and probably find solutions which work for the players, for the coaches, for the fans. Everything else just helps grow football. If it's the ELF or the Federation of Football, it's just the body to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I also like, and I've floated this idea. What if at some point there will be a NFC AFC type game between the ELF and the GFL? Yeah, then it's a way to measure the two leagues. There is a bigger game to be played, if you want to call it that, for a GFL team who is the German champion. Now I can measure myself with the European champion. Look, maybe the future, I think it will be a fair few years from now, but that maybe that's something that they can come up with in the future.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of topics, discussions going back and forth where everything is heading. At the moment, I feel like this would be a tough one because at year 1, everybody said GFL is better than ELF. Second year, they were so and so. I guess seeing the roster development of the whole league this year, you might say the ELF might be the more competitive and stronger league than in regards to GFL. Not taking anything away of those guys, because also I'm a part of that organization at the end of the day. But I feel like you can frankly say that. So besides that, but it's also hard to relate those two teams caused by the rules of regulations that we have. In the GFL, you can play basically if you're doing your homework, and if you want to do your homework, and if you have the petty cash money, you can play with 22 Americans. Because if they have an American
Jewel.
Canadian passport as a dual passport, and they have also French aunt or a French granny. They can apply for European passports too,
Yeah.
and then you're a dual passport player, and then you can play with 22 Americans having first division one college experience, which is in our rules of regulations, it's not wanted and it's not possible. Because we basically set our foundation of building the program out of homegrown talents, which means out of talents out of the country where the franchise is based.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
understand that.
so it might be hard to do so, and that the Federation of Football has no rule whatsoever, as far as I know, what in regards of budgets and player salaries, which on behalf of the ELF is regulated in another way.
Yeah. Yeah. You bring up the salary cap. So I've heard some stories from people. It's this much money for an American player, this much money for a local player, this much money for an international player. Um, there are strict rules. Can you talk about these what the regulations are?
Yeah, I mean, um, to be quite honest, we had in the pre-recording of our talk, we had a short chat in regard to that matter.
Yeah.
For me, same with me. I feel like this topic is out of the box anyway, because having now 17 franchises talking to each at least 60 players to sign, maybe having 1 or 20 discussions about how to pay them or how not to pay them. So many people actually know or do not know how it works. Once in a while, to not to be too phony, I feel like also some franchises do not exactly know how these rules work, because one using it better and ones don't. I mean, I don't know how the salary cap in the NFL works. I once in a while try to get it, but I don't get it. NFL salary cap is for me, I don't get it. If somebody wants to explain, invest an hour, I feel free. I would love to hear it. Raider Nation for life. So I like to hear also know about that. No, but yeah. So I can state what I can state, and I hope it helps a little to get a little bit clearer view. It also relates to certain topics. First of all, like I said, we want to work with homegrown talents. Homegrown, by root of regulations, are players, and this is not about passport, that grew up with playing football in the state where the franchise is based. So you have a guy who started playing football in Germany. He's German. So he's a homegrown German, even though he has a French passport, which is in our regards Martin Pinter. He has a French passport, but he grew up being in Dusseldorf, played football with the Typhoons, a Dusseldorf school football program, the first of this matter in all of Germany. They do these awesome work in Dusseldorf, beside the Panthers and the Bulldozers. He is a French passport, but he's a homegrown German player because he started playing football here. Same, which I guess is not a secret, is Timothy Knüttel. He's an American passport player, but he grew up being in Rothenburg ob der Tauber and playing for the Franken Knights and I guess a little bit Berlin, before he then headed in the teenage years back to the States and started a football career over there. So he's a very good player. He's a very humble person, a very great guy, but he counts as a German homegrown, basically. So just by categorizing. The international
He started playing. These type of players, they started playing in Germany while they have a passport from somewhere else. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the next thing is to step to the far other side of the spectrum are the A players, which means basically that they started playing football in America. Get me wrong, in the United States, Canada, Mexico, or Japan. Because these 4 countries have organized college and professional football. So whoever started there counts as an A. So now you got the A spot. And this can also be a German. So if you have a German being a teenager, moving to States, starting a kicking career, you can have a German passport A kicker, which would be hard to get incorporated in our rules or regulations because you just can have 4. So if you have a German kicker, even if he's quite good, it might be hard for him to get a spot over here because we need the 4 Americans usually to make a difference in offense and defense. So we have 4 A spots, all of the homegrown spots, and then we've got 6 more, because quite like a guess, A spots would be like full-time players for sure. So then we got 6 more full-time spots, 10 full-time spots overall. So in those guys, those next 6 can't be an A, they can be homegrown, or they can be whatever. So they can be like Lukas Ruosch, can be Swiss, which is not European, but it's not an A because no professional football. He's not homegrown. So he can be Brazilian, he can be Swiss, he can be Australian, by the way, I guess. Shouldn't be a problem.
Let's make it happen, man. Let's make it happen. Come on.
Hard for us in Dusseldorf is Japanese is an A because we would love to have Japanese because we got the biggest Japanese community in town out of Japan. We love those people in our town. We love the community. Also, back in the days, Fire did it, but it would count as a hard A. And as far as our own recruiting at the moment goes, we have to evaluate that a true American is usually still better than an even very good Japanese player. So it's a little painful for us because we would love to do that out of many motives, but not doable at the moment. So we got this next 6 professional spots. So they can be homegrown, they can be in A, so they can be everything else, means European or out of European. So what we have, last year we had French players on this kind of positions. And then there's a seldom difference because the full-time spots are 8, which means this fingers 4 A's, leaving 4 other people. Last year it were 2 more. So the next category in between those, between 10 and 8 is 2. These are the so-called transitorial spots, which are players who could be German, could. This is the thing. This is actually a thing I don't know at the moment. With us, they are not German; they are internationals. They are from the Netherlands, and they are from who is this year? I guess from France also. They allowed and they have the third string of salaries because we got this homegrown salary, we got this full-time player salary cap, and we got this transitorial salary cap. So this is 3 kind of salary caps for those 3 groups of players. And why I'm judging this transitorial spot a little bit hard is this is something where even I'm not quite sure about the rules actually, but we do not have the problem because we have international players. A homegrown is out of the state and still at the moment we're not a full professional league, but a league trying to become professional. There is a rule of regulation by the homegrown category, which means they do not make their living out of playing football. So, and if you take a homegrown in this transitorial spot where you get provided cash, housing, food during the on-season, I guess there might be a change of mind if this is already making a living out of it, which then would make you lose your homegrown spot. But anyways, if you're transitory, you can be homegrown. Actually, it shouldn't matter. This is a little bit, but excuse myself, I have a main profession also. This is as far as I grasp the rules. Year 1, I was in charge of the roster development. Year 2, I'm still supervising it, but I'm very happy that Jim Tomasula, our head coach and president of football operations, and Timur, his right hand and assistant in this matter of players personnel, are doing an awesome job, which I still try to provide is the proper framework, means what are the values of our franchise, which our franchise, myself especially, but also our co-owners stand for. And this is taking care of people, taking care of players and coaches, being honest, and try to stick to what we promise. Doesn't mean everything works out, but if it doesn't work out, we name it and make up for it. And I guess this is something, as far as I get feedback by players and coaches, what the people like about us very much, besides our awesome fan base.
Very good. So there is all these categories have a separate salary cap.
Yeah.
Okay. And are you able to talk about how much that is by position or team? I don't want to get you in trouble. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, let's keep it a little bit up in the air. We can have a follow up on that. I would gladly to be back if you want me to. But let's phrase it that way. Homegrowns. in average, it's what is the benefit of the ELF in regards, if you ask me, doing something else. I played German GFL football, early 2000s. I played club fee, bought my own equipment, and played guys who made 100,000 euro D-marks a year, which is 50,000 euros back in the days. So there's a wide space in between players who played each other. So this is something that doesn't happen anymore. Usually none player has any expenses because every expense is covered, and some get compensated, some more than others. But it's around in Germany. This is why also in the ELF, for me, once in a while it gets a little bit stressful to discuss topics like this, because we've got at the moment 5 regimes of social security law and tax law. In Germany, we have so-called mini jobs, which are employees who can earn up to 520 euros. Then they get taxed in a very special way. That's why a lot of franchises use contracts up to this level to pay those players. You actually could pay more because this is just a tax code law, which doesn't comply for Poland and Spain. So they don't comply to these tax code laws, but they have the overall same net salary. So they can, actually we do not need to stick to this rule too, but it is more convenient for franchises and players to do so. But this once in a while sets a stand in top of the head of some managers that this is mandatory. No, this is not mandatory for me because it's not in our rules of regulation. This is just German tax code. So, but phrase it that way. For homegrown, they do not have any cost. Most likely, they get get a compensation in between 250 and 520 euros or something for the period of the season. So, and in regards to back in the days where you paid, you got a little bit paid, or you do not got paid, even though you had a contract. So this is very settled in this league, and you have a television available where you're visible, where you can grow the game. Actually, to be quite honest, we have discussion with player who got offered more money from other franchises or other leagues, but they still want to play with Fire. Why? Passion for the game, playing in the most professional environment they probably can get. Yeah, I mean, there are some guys who want to make their living out of football, and I won't blame anybody if he makes decisions for his personal and family life, and if he can sustain football by getting money from, I mean, the Maple Leaf is paying kind of good as far as I heard in Finland. So I totally get that. But overall, the players here in Germany appreciate this league very much. And then you have the transitory spot, let's say the professional spot, which is the biggest difference in between. I feel like because we judge them as true employees, even by the salary cap regulation, as far as I get them, they get provided housing, most likely cars and food. So the money they get covers whatever they still want to do. So if you're a very handsome person, no, not handsome. If you're very if you're taking care of your expenses, excuse my English is not always quite good. If you're taking care of your expenses and you do football here most of the time, you actually can save up all of your net money, more or less. So, and if you see Americans once in a while, how they're situated in the States, this is also quite good because it related, as far as I discussed, to some of our players who had their chance at the CFL. In CFL, you get not a net salary, you get a before tax salary, and you need to cover your housing yourself and your food in most cases. I was shocked that even in the NFL, some franchises charge costs for food in their facilities. I was shocked about that. But the CFL is just salary. It's close to the minimum salary over there, and then try to make your living in Vancouver out of it. I knew some players who just evaluate football experience, which is good because it's very professional, but trade off money net after paying apartment. It's quite as attractive than playing in the ELF and being one of the 10, let's say 8 full professionals. And you're close to home, means the workload is also not that big because due to the main roster, we cannot work out every day couple of hours or do 2 a days. This is not doable beside the mini camps.
Yeah. Well, you brought up an interesting point there, is that even though players might be able to get a bit more money somewhere, other franchises or leagues, you've put together, especially this year. I feel you put together a great coaching staff. You played
Thank
in
you.
a great stadium. Like I said, everything that I can see from halfway across the world is fire is on fire this year, isn't it? And so that would be very attractive to play for a great organization, a great stadium, be coached by great coaches. Yeah, so it obviously it's a big draw card. So, when you do things right, people want to be a part of you, right?
Yeah, I said I totally appreciate your input. I totally see it that way. Um, I mean, I don't know, do not know if I get this English context right, because I watched the movie in Germany with Kevin Costner, Field of Dreams. Just build it, they will come. I always
Mhm.
said, build the program, they will come. So, and I'm finally happy with this stage and this frame that we could try building a program and they will come. And even some people still say that we cheat or may cheat, but for me, it's so quite obvious that we are not. Why? If you are homegrown, which means he doesn't make your living out of football in Germany, and we talk about a 6 months contract, and we're talking about everybody more or less having a main job, a main occupation.
Mhm.
Tell me, 6 months, 200 euros net income difference per month is 1,200 euros for the season, 6 months. What would you do for 1,200 euros? Play in Duisburg by 12,000 people watching you, having three NFL coaches coaching you in full time, or going somewhere else, which is not bad. Do not want to take anything away from somebody else, but then
Mhm.
playing with less full time coaches with not NFL experience, which not hands on way of our approach, and playing for less attendance. For if 1,200 net is the difference, judging myself as a player back in the days, I would pay this money to join our program.
Yeah.
Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, guys. I do not want to pay you to pay with us to be with us,
Mm.
but it's a game changer. What our fan base
Of
allows us
course.
to do is a game changer.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. And look, um, the although it doesn't, there's no guarantee to success, right? When you can have 12 NFL coaches on the field, it's not guaranteed success. Can you be coached by coaches who are from Europe, who are college coaches, who are high school coaches? All of these are possibilities, and you can still have great football, great success. But the environment, I feel right now, that is, fire is basically setting the standard. I saw that you guys have this game scheduled with Sea Devils in the Big House in
Yeah.
Hamburg. That would be very interesting to see. They sold 10,000 tickets already. Did I see that the other day?
As far as I read, there should be close to 15,000.
15.
Yeah, 15.
Okay. Yeah. I so our first, going back 23 years, when I was with Cologne, that our first game was against the Hamburg Blue Devils at that time in the Big House. And I think they also had,
Yeah,
back then, they had about 12,000 people, right?
yeah,
They've had games, Hamburg Blue Devils against Notre Dame, which was, a huge crowd. So there is a football, obviously the NFL Europe games with Sea Devils. um can't quite remember if that was always big. I don't think it was big sellout crowds, but it was, I think, 25, 30,000 people when we played
yeah.
them. So there is definitely a football crowd in Hamburg that, I hope for you guys that, we're getting 30,000 in that stadium, and be a big football happening, right?
Yeah, yeah. I stated in another podcast I was invited to that I mean, when you're talking about me attendance and what I estimate is always like the devil and the angel on my shoulders talking to me.
Yeah.
The one is taking care of the budget, so I estimate less. So we do
Yeah.
not spend too much and run bankrupt, which would be a big problem. The other thing is what I really feel like. being in touch with the fan base. So we had last year against Frankfurt, we had 12,055 people in the stands. And we are setting up an even better frame this year for the home games to unfold, being earlier in the discussions with City and other bodies to organize the game day. We have more availabilities for visibility for fans to recognize that we're finally back, which is still not as far. And do not have the budget of the NFL. We cannot put signs everywhere in the city at the moment. But
Sure.
this is everything is going better. So I feel like that we have a shot for our first home season game this year, also against Frankfurt, that we get 15 to 17,500 people in the stands. This is what I really hope for. And I think there is a good chance for that. So then we would set a regular season new record. And I'm quite happy and convinced to say that our first away game the next week in Hamburg, we will already lose the record again. I hope it for the Sea Devils, who are doing an awesome work. I hope it for the league, and I gladly lose this title and re-win it next year. Because I feel you. I think by the awesome work they're doing, also in cooperation with the Hamburger SV, with the soccer club over there, that we get 22,500 people to 27,500 people in the stands.
Yeah. Look, like I said, they're so Hamburg, Dusseldorf, Frankfurt, three big football cities from the NFL Europe days. And it's the atmosphere that 20,000 people will bring in the stadium plus is obviously is great, right?
Yeah.
So we just mentioned this, great coaching staff, lots of recruiting going on. I've been seeing guys that you signed. So with all of this, does the pressure go up to perform and win it all?
I mean, every franchise is in it to win it, no doubt about that. So
Better
are
hope
we.
so.
So are we. So I guess you can say our teams want to win it. I guess we set the stage for that. We owe it to the fans. We owe it to everybody out of the community to really aim for it. And I can tell you, we have our voluntary OTAs at the moment on Mondays, which I will be taking tomorrow, which is just the homegrown then, because the full-time professionals may just enter the program as early as end of April. The intensity of each practice is awesome. I mean, I saw quite a lot of programs developing and the intensity, how they're going on. It is game changing what this little bit other structure and the visibility brings to the programs. The guys are so involved in practice, are so in high intensity. I guess you can say, and they stated it all themselves on social media, they're in it to win it. And I see this every practice, in every step of the way, totally bought into the program. And which I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, for sure. I mean, I'm totally with Jim at the end of the day. Football is a program stuff. They really enjoy the journey. They enjoy the journey through the season and winning it day by day. This is what Jim emphasizes very much, and he sets the standard in regard of this matter. And everybody in the program bought into it. So I couldn't be any happier. The rest happens in the season anyway. I can only hope our opponents and ourselves, we stay healthy, can all perform to the best of our abilities, and then whoever is going to win it is going to win it.
Sure. Yeah. Look, a lot of times is there's a fair bit of luck involved. If you like, especially if you have a salary cap, you like that the idea that teams can be very compatible, right? Where teams are very close, that where everybody every week it is, Braunschweig Cologne kind of thing that we had in 2000. You know what I mean? Like it's full on every week, and that can only bring more people to the stands. It's great for everybody. Everybody wants these great games, right? But you mentioned intensity at practice. It brought me back an idea is so in 2001, after my 1 year in Cologne, I went to the NFL Europe to Amsterdam, and our head coach there was Bart Andrus, and he was the offensive coordinator in 2000 for Rhein Fire. He told me at some point that um, Walter Rolfink at that time organized the Dusseldorf Panthers to come to practice with the Rhein Fire. Did you attend those practices as well?
No, actually not.
Okay. so so I'm not sure how many of the Dusseldorf Panthers, but like I thought of that. I was like, that would have been a great experience, that
Yeah,
because everybody's bigger, stronger, faster, and if you then have an opportunity to practice against them, right? Scout team, here's a card, go run with these guys.
yeah.
That would have been a great experience there. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually love the idea. Um, this is something maybe most likely the ELF and the Federation of Football should also talking about. Like I said, the Kadetten rule, maybe to intertwine between two leagues. This is something we slowly should work on. This is a steady process. But I like the idea. It gives you the chance of competing on a higher level for certain and get more experience and have knowledge transferred. I mean, this is for me being a player back in the days, the best thing out of the NFLE that I had teammates with Peter Großpass, Babak Movazagi, Andreas Motzkos, Martin Driever, Frank Habermann, who all played with the Fire, Mark Elgering, not to forget, and they came back to the Panthers and transferred their knowledge. Besides having Walter Wolfing in the program, transferring his knowledge, may he rest in peace. Sadly, he didn't. I'm very sad that he couldn't experience Rhein Fire come back. I guess he would have loved it. I guess he's cheering for us from where he's at the moment. This helped a lot. Knowledge transfer, and I guess this is also something this could happen nowadays. Our structure can afford, luckily, if we all grow together, that we turn over more money, we can place more money to allow people to get involved in coaching, having full-time knowledge in this position, having more lifetime knowledge in this position, and transfer it to the part-time coaches at the moment, to the Federation of Football. And this can only, in my point, can only be good for football.
Yeah. How many players does an elf team have?
Yeah, this is something we changed a little bit. We cut down from, like I said, 12 full-time players, which have been 8 plus 4 transitory, to 10 in regards to this matter, but we widened the depth chart. I guess we expanded from maximum 60 to 65 players in practice rosters. In the same step, we cut down the active player on game day, which we have to schedule to the league, to, let me guess, 46. Actually, to be quite honest, and also I do not get it. Actually, I do not get it. Because it's hard. I mean, 60 practice guys for me was well suited. With the situation last year, we were able to dress 49 people. Now having 65 and only dress 46, this will be hard decisions for coaches to make.
Yeah.
This is also end of the day, which helps generating the whole program a little bit of a difference between Federation Football and what happened. Federation Football, you sign in for a club, you're a club member, like I am with the Panthers since 1994. By German law, you cannot get rid of those guys. They are there, being humble human persons, nice people. So that's fine. That's fine. And Federation, I used to go to away games, praying that everybody makes a bus or comes by car, that we have a full roster for game day, even those guys once in a while who do not practice. Here, everybody wants to be part of the program, be part of the day where the big stages come. So the competitiveness is far higher at the end of the day. But we do have to, and this is something I do not like, we do not have to make decisions. Why? For sure, it's hard to leave somebody out of the program. Or like last year, the toughest decision I was confronted with was to let Jason Agamore go, because he was one of the first international players brought into our program last year. He was a high-profile guy, a very good competitor, and he produced. But we need on another spot an international player, and we had a very awesome German running back. So the trade-off in between those two was too minimal to keep Jason and have a lacking linebacker. So this was a tough decision. But again, even to this year with more decisions to make. It's not federational football. It's not like hobby. It is that we are here in it to win it. And we as an organization owe it to everybody on board to give them the best opportunity to win it. And if there is
Mm.
another player till week 8 who is doing better, who's performing better, he is in it and another one is out. I owe it to the
Mm.
other 45 guys who are in it.
That's interesting. Like, um, within German football, the German Football League, you have, I think it's 12 international transfers. Okay.
More or less.
So,
I do not know the rules too good, but yeah.
yeah. So it means 12 guys from out who didn't play in Germany the year before
Yeah.
are you have a limit of 12 guys that you can recruit from outside Germany. So when a guy gets cut, so in with say with Rhein Fire, um, do you know if there what the regulations are if he then wants to go and play for Panther or Crocodiles
Yeah.
or
I can give you what I know at the moment, but this might not be the actual state at the moment. So
yeah.
this is also one problem. In between the federational football and the ELF, there are no strict rules. The federational football decided last year they want to make it more difficult to come back because they want to avoid people to go away at the first place. So
Yeah,
this is something they got rid of. You can easily go back to the R4D as far as I know, which they blamed us for. We do not have any rules in that matter. So if you in week 12 and you want to come to us and we are before week 8, which I cannot, before week 8, we can take everybody.
deadline.
It doesn't matter where he comes from. Week 8 is deadline, yeah. Week 8 is the deadline for signing new players to an ELF franchise. After week 8, the only change we still can make is we can announce a backup American quarterback who's not part of the program to join the program after week 8 if the first American probably gets injured so bad that he doesn't have the ability to come back. This is another option. I mean, this is once in a while hard for our national and local quarterbacks who once in a while being the backup or on the brink quarterback. But as far as also television product, which we need to establish, in certain situations, the drop-off might be that big that you can judge on television. And this is something the league, that's why this additional spot is granted. Gladly, Hamburg last year played all out with the German quarterbacks. This is still there. I know Jim Tomsula would love the idea, and Rohat, our quarterback, is developing awesome. He's putting a lot of workload in growing his abilities to play ball. So we have a great quarterback coach, and Weininger is giving input as well. So I feel quite confident that he's stepping up big time. And last year, he had the, excuse his wording, the biggest balls I've ever seen by a German quarterback. He came in at Frankfurt, our season home opener. We were back, and Matt Adam got a little bit knocked off. He had his first snap midfield, third and something. And what did this guy do? He saw something. First snap in the league. First snap with us against the champion winner last year. First snap, he audibled. And what did he audible? He audible to a fade to our American quarterback, playing covered by their American cornerback, and he plays it in a dime, 25 yards to the sideline. This took guts, and he did it.
Yeah.
So I'm happy. This will also grow and develop. But week 8 is our general deadline, and you can come to our league with, at the moment, no other regulations. So whatever. My opinion is this is something we need to work on with the EFAF, with the R4D. We need to set a standard of procedure to intertwine the both of us.
Yeah. Like there are some of those, what do you do in this situation? What in that situation are things that you need to have some rules that, like you said, it has to be a European thing and it has to be a GFL thing where it's clear what you can and cannot do. Yeah. It is painful to have your players leave your program, good players leave your program to go and chase their dream. That's great for them, bad for your program, obviously. But if it happens enough, you hope that more players will join your program and that
Yes.
they can grow on and become. And we all want, like, it's we all want this professional league in Europe so you can actually make a living playing football, right?
Yeah.
So, I always just say this a few times a week, is that, if you want to make an omelet, you got to crack a few eggs, right? So, we got to go through some growing pains and develop a structure that works
Yeah.
for everybody. But then, then you get the most and the best out of it, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, this is
um,
something
go on.
being
Sorry.
been a player. I totally get that, and this is once more. Like I said, I'm happy. This is why we have a lot of rules in our contracts, anyways, for certain type of players. Who am I if I'm not helping to make your living out of playing football? To not allow you giving chances to make your living out of football. We for sure we would have loved to get Timothy Knüttel back, but he had his chance in the CFL now. He did what he was supposed to. He got a new contract. Actually, I mean, it was not because of us. We maybe helped the last step to set the stage to go there, but he did it all his life, putting effort into the sports. He finally made it. Actually, I couldn't, for sure, it is a loss for our program, but I couldn't be any happier for him. So
Yeah.
this is, I feel like this should be the standard of how to approach this. And for sure, I mean, the same with other club level football. If you make your same a name of being the bridge to the ELF, being the bridge to the NFL, to call it EG football, whatever, be the bridge, be the standard.
Yeah. Excuse me. I think, we got to talk about it in terms of a pathway, right?
Yeah.
So you start in Division 3 club, I don't know where in Germany. Then you get picked up by a GFL team. Then you get picked up by an ELF team. Then you go to the CFL or International Pathway Program to the NFL. That is, I like to think that every football person can understand that that is the way to go. Now, here's the problem is always is that if you're in the middle, right, and you benefit from it a little bit, right, and then you have to pass them on to a bigger dog, above you, that's painful. But at the same time, you're doing it with a Division 3 team if you're the GFL team. So I when I saw all these movements from players and from GFL to the ELF, I said, look, you cannot blame another person for doing it better than you. Do it better. That they will come back to you, right? That's ultimately what it is. And obviously, a few of the big dogs in the GFL were hurting because now they were feeling the pain that they actually inflict to some other teams in the past.
Yeah.
But as long as there's a pathway and it's better for the players, I'm all for it. We need that. We need opportunities, and then the game can become what we want it to be. So yeah, very good. Now, with all of this said, right? So 5 to 10 years from now, Rene, what does the ELF look like? What do you see happening?
Yeah. Let's say like what I said at first place, I cannot speak for the ELF because we're just franchise organization out of the ELF. We're not the ELF ourselves, but for
Sure.
sure we are in conversations back and forth. And at the first place, Patrick Izume draw this picture of where he's want to head it, and this is out of the box anyway. He sees at the moment all European league with 24 teams. This is his aim. I guess we did some bigger strides than expected in the early years. But if there, like I said, when if there's a chance, I take it. I rather regret taking it than not taking it. So I take it. This is the aim. Once people said that we have too many German teams, yes, I get it, but I mean, Germany is one of the crowded places in Europe. We have one of the crowded football programs in Europe. So somehow it relates. I mean, yeah, we have more German teams than Spanish, but it relates how many players we've got, how many people live in the state. So I guess this is, if this is for the end of the days, I don't know, maybe at the end of the days, if football develops very good, maybe we'll have just six or whatever. We relocate. I don't know. This is a professional league. Like Istanbul, they stepped back this year. As far as I already just heard, they just stepped back. They didn't quit. They just stepped back for certain reasons, which I totally get. So there might be changes, but I feel like this is part of the process. I mean, this is we're starting to develop business, to get money in, to spend it into football programs, players, organization, back office. So I see this come, and I hope it will come. 24 teams all over Europe. I hope Scandinavia will get some. I would gladly see Amsterdam. I don't know what they're doing over there. This would harm our international market a little because they are so cross-border. But anyways, Amsterdam, I would love that in a certain place. The Admirals, to see them back, like in the back of your head. I see still the logo. I mean, Scandinavia, asking me, I would love for sure, even though it's not the European Union anymore, but Great Britain, strong football base there. So I love the idea. Maybe one more Spanish team, one more Italian team. I don't know. But I see 24 teams. Everything developing. I hope this year we see with a better program, more people in the stands in Stuttgart. I totally see that. I totally hope that, and that the attendance everywhere grows. This is something I see. We have more television visibility this year. ProSieben Max doubled we have double headers on Sunday. Double headers. Can you imagine that? Double headers, football, American football out of Europe by Europeans for Europeans. Double header free TV. This is unheard of.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So this is the direction I see it heading, and I totally hope that it will come that way.
So what do you expect from the new franchises that are stepping in this year? So it's Switzerland, Hungary, Italy, France, Germany, as in Munich.
Yeah.
That's the 5 new teams, right?
Yeah.
What do you expect from them in year 1?
Yeah, I mean, in regards to the Enthroners and Prague, they, as far as I know, they are developing out of established football programs. So it will, at the end of the day, like with Istanbul last year. Actually, I do not know too much about the football culture over there. So, but they have the ability to grow, to collect all of the homegrown talents over all the barriers from cup level football. I mean, back in the days, somebody from Cologne would never play for Dusseldorf Panthers, but everybody from North Rhine-Westphalia has no problem with whatsoever playing for Fire. So I guess this may happen in the other states. You may have kind of national teams gathered in these places. And if you then do an awesome recruiting of the international players, the 10 full-time players, I guess you can totally say you can have a totally competitive team in the ELF. So I do not know, but I think they have a fair shot of making the league and being in the stack. In regards of Munich, this is from the scratch, but they have well-known established coaches who have very great networks in this area. I feel like this will work out also. But all these first-year teams, like we last year, or now Munich or Paris, they need, even though those guys knew each other, but it's the first time being together throughout a season. And it's not just national team, it's a season. So this needs to find each other. I'm hopefully they get it done, everybody. Same with Switzerland. So this is a little bigger challenge in this matter. Besides this, how is the talent level? Italy is established program. I think they will do quite awesome. Even the overhead, the owners, this is a quite sophisticated program. Switzerland, I mean, my family has a second home in Switzerland for over 30 years. I love Switzerland being on board. I actually also like the story of being the Helvetic Guards. I like that. Like Paris doing the change to the Musketeers. I totally love that. But I don't know, besides Lukas Ruhrs, our Swiss linebacker, I do not know the talent level too much of all of Switzerland. But like I said with Enthroners, if you collect the best homegrown talent and put 10 best American imports in, which they did with some running backs I just saw, they should have competitive programs. The big difference in Switzerland is then that they've probably the biggest loaded of American coaches in any program. As far as I have in top of my mind, they have seven American coaches, and I only can guess that they are most likely full time. With the trade off that they have also NFL coaches who might be, this is just guessing, partly on NFL pensions, partly. So for some of those guys, money is not the main motive anymore to do football. It is
Yeah.
passion. So for sure, you need to cover certain things to make it feasible. Otherwise, you do not bring money to the table to do something. But if you somehow cover certain points and you value and treasure family and everything else, but this is a big thing in Switzerland. I guess they got a very sophisticated American coaching crew. The only thing there is, can that translate to coaching homegrown talent? Because that once in a while doesn't work. There we were very lucky with Jim Tomsula, who was part of the IPP back in the days with the Fire or with the whole NFLE. And we're very happy with Andrew Weininger, who has been part of collegial football, and he has been in Europe 2 years already. So they have the experience, what it means to coach guys beside having a main occupation, which is quite important.
Yeah. Look, the only thing I know about Hungarian football is one player that I coached from there, and he was pretty good. Switzerland, I think I've coached against a few teams, and there was definitely talent, and like you said, if they can get most of the talent to the one team, that'd be great. Where are they based? Are they based in Zurich?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I like that. From what I can tell, I think there are a couple of Americans who already live in Switzerland, but you have to be impressed with the coaching staff they have put together there as well. Yes. Italy, yeah, an existing team and staff. They don't have to change anything except adding talent to their team. What I'm really excited about to see is the Musketeers. For so many years now, so many French quality players have played all over Europe. If they can get every French player to play for Paris, that could be really special.
But this is what I said. This is finding each other as a team, because this might be challenging. I mean, because like you said, those guys have been the import everywhere in Europe. Now they're a team. Now you're part of the program, like Common Pro. You are not the feature. They got 3 featured halfbacks probably. Now you're a backup. This makes something with you. I mean, I guess they have the quality of coaching and to get this, to pull this and get all the horses on the street. But this will be the biggest challenge, because the quality is there anyway. No questions.
Yeah. So I don't know too much about the French coaching staff. The head coach, I've heard his announcement, but besides that, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, same with me. I'm not so deep into that topic. I know the head coach is from Barcelona. You played coach Barcelona last year. They had a very awesome coaching staff last year, the Dragons. My most favorite team. I like the Dragons so much. So I'm very happy with that turnout. Besides that, they were ahead of us. That's the only downside of it. No, I don't know too much about the Paris team, besides the player signings also. But I like what the board is doing, the owners. A little bit of steady contact with them, because they appreciate our input. And I always said, whoever wants to share our problems from first year, I will tell them and try to help them not to make the same mistakes we did. Because we do a lot of mistakes. We need to make up for it, but we try to share our best practice with whomever asks.
I think that's always going to be the issue with a new team, right? It's just like you got to start from scratch, and when do your coaches arrive?
Jim, I just had a call with Jim yesterday. He's around about 2 weeks. He's coming.
2 weeks, okay. Yeah. And that's, you said all the imports. That's the end of April.
Last week of April, yeah.
Last week of April. So that's where That's where it then really starts kicking off. So now your local coaches are running practice.
You're right. We have the biggest program you can buy on Huddle, gold, platinum, standard. I don't know. We're doing at the moment. We do a lot of Huddle installations. Huddle
Mhm.
coach up. We tape every practice, every group individual. We load it up the same day, and our full-time coach is checking all the OTA stuff, breaks it down, and gives feedbacks. We check for about time the players spend in Huddle. And like I said, on day practice, the intensity is high. The viewing time on Huddle is awesome. The guys are totally into the program. So it is running. We are far ahead in regards of installations, in regards to last year. Also, there nothing to take anything away from the coaches last year, but we started earlier, and we have more full-time guys doing it. This
Yeah.
is quite frankly the difference.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like there, you know this. There's not saying anything new. It's like there is so much to do. You know, like you could work 24 hours in a day and still feel you can have stuff covered. Yeah. So the more staff you have that can work on football, the better it is. Absolutely.
Yeah, we are missing the
Um,
undergraduate students. That's right, here in Europe.
yeah, yeah. Breaking it all down. Is well before we started the recording, you mentioned how big your organization is. So though a coaching staff, how big is your coaching staff at the moment? Pure coaches?
Uh, Pure coaches should be 15, I guess. 15,
Mm,
16.
yeah, yeah. So you got your position coaches, coordinators, head coach. Yeah,
Some
that's good.
assistant position coaches, quality coach, yeah.
Yeah.
OCD, head coach, different persons, right?
Hmm. Well, Renee, I can't wait for this new season to start. I'll leave you with this. I think last year I predicted that one of the two Austrian teams would win the championship. This year I predict it will be a German team. Guess which team I'm predicting?
Let me guess. It starts with Rhine and ends with Fire.
Mine's been fired. Absolutely, that's it. You, it's yeah. I think that's going to happen, man. Like from all I can see that's been going on. Obviously, I know Jim Tamsula and Richard Kent personally. I hold both of them in high regard, and I think that's going to be a great year two for you guys.
Thank you. I appreciate this evaluation, and we take the heat. No problem. We take
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
The
Now
pressure
you
is on, but we're in it.
yeah. So you mentioned it earlier. I do have for my guests that are in season over the next months. I do ask if it's possible to catch up in season. Now we were on air about an hour and 15 minutes. Doesn't have to be that long in season. I would like to just a short catch up would be awesome, and just to see how it all is going for year two, and so I can stay on top of my prediction as well, obviously. So that'd be great, right?
Coach, anytime, anytime.
That's really good. So thank you very much, Renee, and we'll talk soon, eh?
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me, Coach.
Thank you, sir. See you, man.
Bye.
Bye.